Tanjiro is helping his mother with the family coal business. Although Tanjiro's family was very poor, he still felt happy with this peaceful life. With the responsibility of being the eldest son, Tanjiro was determined to work hard to bring a comfortable life to his mother and siblings. Before leaving, he met Nezuko, and the youngest sibling. Since their father had passed away, she and the younger siblings always regarded Tanjiro as the pillar of the family. After bidding farewell to Nezuko, Tanjiro took a basket of coal down at the town to sell. Since Tanjiro always helped the villagers there, they were very fond of him. Soon enough, the basket of coal Tanjiro was carrying was sold out. He set off to return home when it was already very late. Since it was dangerous to go up the mountain at that hour, an acquaintance named Shiburo let him stay at his house. Although Tanjiro wanted to go home immediately, Shiburo warned him that if he went back now, he might encounter demons on the road. Tanjiro then wondered what demons were, and Shiburo explained that demons were creatures that waited for nightfall to attack and eat humans. To protect themselves, humans had established demon hunter organizations to eliminate them. After hearing this, Tanjiro became very worried, as his grandmother had told him the same thing when he was little. The next morning, Tanjiro set off to return home at dawn. With his sharp sense of smell, he detected the scent of blood in the air. When he reached home, Tanjiro was heartbroken to find that his mother and siblings had been killed by demons. Only Nezuko still had warmth left in her, so he quickly carried her down the mountain to find a doctor. Despite the snowstorm, Tanjiro ran as fast as he could to try to save Nezuko. However, at this moment, Nezuko suddenly turned into a demon and began thrashing about, causing Tanjiro to slip and fall down the mountainside. Luckily, the snow below softened his fall, and Tanjiro survived. He quickly ran back to Nezuko, and together they headed towards the doctor. But Nezuko could no longer control herself and turned to attack her brother. Tanjiro then remembered Shiburo's words and wondered if Nezuko had become a demon since birth. However, he quickly dismissed that thought because she had protected the younger siblings with her own body. Just then, Tanjiro also smelled another demon nearby. When a person becomes a demon, their body changes, and their strength increases. Feeling he couldn't hold on much longer, Tanjiro called out Nezuko's name loudly to awaken her. Fortunately, Nezuko woke up and cried when she realized it was her brother. At that moment, in the snowstorm, a demon slayer named Ju Tomioka appeared. He immediately rushed to kill Nezuko when he saw she had fully turned into a demon. Tanjiro quickly said she was his sister, but Ju paid no attention. Ju rushed forward and took Nezuko from Tanjiro's hands, believing that Nezuko must be killed to prevent harm to others. Tanjiro, terrified, urgently begged Ju not to harm his sister, as she had regained part of her human consciousness. However, Ju was not swayed by Tanjiro's pleas, and when Ju was about to finish Nezuko off, Tanjiro picked up a rock and threw it at him. Then he ran to grab an axe and tried to attack, risking his life to free his sister. But with just the hilt of his sword, Ju easily knocked Tanjiro out with a single blow. However, before falling, Tanjiro managed to toss his axe into the air, and as he collapsed, it fell right towards Ju, almost hitting him. Taking advantage of this, Nezuko attacked Ju and ran to protect her brother. Ju was taken aback, as demons had always eaten humans, even their own family. But perhaps Nezuko was an exception, so he only knocked her unconscious and did not want to kill her. When Tanjiro woke up, Ju had returned Nezuko to him, along with the bamboo tube in her mouth. He advised Tanjiro not to let Nezuko be exposed to sunlight, and told him to find an old man named Sakanji to be trained as a demon slayer. The two siblings then went to bury their loved ones. Although they were deeply saddened, Tanjiro was determined to become a demon slayer and find a way to return Nezuko to human form. Tanjiro asked the nearby villagers for some bamboo and straw. Though they said they wouldn't accept payment from him, he insisted on paying them fully with thanks. Afterward, he returned to Nezuko, knowing she was terrified of sunlight. He quickly wove a basket to carry her in, making it easier to carry her. At first, Nezuko thought she only needed to crawl in, so her legs were still sticking out, but when she sat properly, it fit perfectly. Then the two siblings set off to find their master, Sakanji, as instructed by Ju. As night fell, they planned to rest at a temple in the forest. At that moment, Tanjiro smelled the foul odor coming from the temple. When they entered, they found a demon devouring the villagers inside. The horrifying sight made Nezuko cry, remembering her family. The demon immediately turned to attack Tanjiro, but he used his axe to counterattack. However, the demon's wound healed quickly, and it charged again to overpower Tanjiro. Seeing this, Nezuko rushed in and kicked the demon's head off like a ball. In front of Tanjiro's surprised eyes, she kicked again, sending the demon's body flying with its head. But soon, the demon's body stood up and rushed to attack Nezuko, and its head grew arms and jumped straight at Tanjiro to try to eat him. Tanjiro couldn't believe that this demon had such a grotesque form. He struck the demon's head, making it dizzy, then threw his axe into the tree, trapping its head there. Tanjiro turned to Nezuko and saw her being beaten severely by the demon's body. He hugged the demon's body, causing both of them to fall into a deep gorge. However, Nezuko managed to grab her brother's coat, keeping him safe. Afterward, Tanjiro returned to the demon's head to find a way to destroy it, but when he picked up the knife, he was terrified, as it was the first time he had to do something like this. At that moment, Master Sakanji appeared and told Tanjiro that a knife wouldn't kill the demon. When Tanjiro asked how to kill it, Sakanji didn't answer. Tanjiro picked up a stone from the ground but still couldn't bring himself to strike. Sakanji then commented that a kind-hearted person like Tanjiro could never become a demon slayer. After thinking for a while, Tanjiro saw the sunlight, which burned the demon to ashes. At that moment, he realized why his sister was so afraid of the sun. Sakanji then performed a burial for the victims killed by the demon and told Tanjiro that he had received a letter from Jiu, asking him to train Tanjiro to become a demon slayer. But first, Sakanji wanted to test whether Tanjiro was worthy of being a demon slayer. Sakanji then reminded Tanjiro to take Nezuko and run to his house. Although Tanjiro was very tired from not having slept all night, thinking about Nezuko's smile made him even more determined. After a full day of running, the two finally arrived at Sakanji's house. But only Nezuko could rest, while Tanjiro had to take on his master's test. Sakanji took Tanjiro to a forest and told him to find his way back to the house before dawn. Sakanji then reminded Tanjiro to take Nezuko and run to his house. Although Tanjiro was very tired from not having slept all night, thinking about Nezuko's smile made him even more determined. After a full day of running, the two finally arrived at Sakanji's house. But only Nezuko could rest, while Tanjiro had to take on his master's test. Sakanji took Tanjiro to a forest and told him to find his way back to the house before dawn. After this test, Sakanji officially accepted Tanjiro as his pupil. Tanjiro then wrote a journal of his training for Nezuko to read, with the goal of joining the Demon Slayer Corps, an ancient organization dedicated to exterminating demons to protect humanity. However, to join the Corps, Tanjiro had to pass their test. Most demons have the ability to regenerate, along with very high physical strength, while the swordsmen are just ordinary humans. Therefore, they must train extensively to be able to fight against them. Master Sakamzi is the instructor of the Demon Slayer Corps, and now he will do his best to train Tanjiro to help him pass the Corps examination. After a few days of training, Tanjiro's physical strength and sense of smell have greatly improved. Instead of using an axe, Master has given Tanjiro a katana to train with, as this is the weapon most commonly used by swordsmen to slay demons. However, katanas are very easy to break if not used correctly, so those wielding them must adjust their strength and the direction of their strikes with precision. After some time, Tanjiro became proficient with the sword, and the next training session with his master was to attack him with the sword. However, Master only needed to use his bare hands to make Tanjiro fall flat on the ground. Tanjiro began practicing breathing techniques and stances, which would help him improve his recovery abilities when injured and stabilize his mind during battles with demons. Master taught Tanjiro the 10 forms of water breathing, and to master them, Tanjiro had to soak in water and swim for several days. It didn't take long before Tanjiro had undergone 6 months of intense training with his master. During that time, Nezuko remained asleep without waking up. The doctor had come to examine her and confirmed that she wasn't suffering from any serious illness, which made Tanjiro feel somewhat relieved. He continued training with his master for another 6 months, until he had completed all the exercises. Master then told Tanjiro that there was nothing more to teach him, and now it was time for him to prove what he had learned. Master took him to a large stone in the forest and said that if Tanjiro could split the stone into with his sword, he would be allowed to take the exam. After that, Master left without saying another word, leaving Tanjiro there. Tanjiro attempted to strike the stone with his sword, but it had no effect. From that day on, he practiced tirelessly, repeating everything Sakamzi had taught him. However, after half a year, Tanjiro still couldn't split the stone. His repeated failures made him feel hopeless. At that moment, a young man wearing a fox mask appeared and immediately kicked Tanjiro, then explained to him that a man should never become so weak. The masked man then challenged Tanjiro to attack him, with the condition that he could only use a wooden sword to defend. As they fought, the masked man told Tanjiro that he could split the stone with ease and scolded Tanjiro for wasting the effort that Sakamzi had put into his training over the past year. After some intense fighting, Tanjiro eventually lost due to the huge difference in strength. The masked man handed Tanjiro over to a young girl and left right after. When Tanjiro regained consciousness, the girl introduced herself as Makimo, and the man in the fox mask was named Sabito. Both were orphans taken in and raised by Master Sakanji. The following day, Makimo began to teach Tanjiro how to eliminate unnecessary movements in his sword techniques and how to use breathing techniques to increase his strength during battle. Despite this, Tanjiro was still unable to defeat Sabito in their sparring. However, 6 months later, Tanjiro faced Sabito again and challenged him to a fight with real swords to settle their differences. With a single, incredibly fast strike, Tanjiro cut off Sabito's mask. Seeing how much Tanjiro had improved, Sabito smiled happily, and both of them disappeared, leaving Tanjiro with a reminder to return victorious. Tanjiro now realized that the strike he had made earlier had actually split the stone in two, thanks to his training. Now he could see his opponent's weaknesses through a thin thread, and by attacking along that line, he could easily defeat them. Master Sakanji arrived and told Tanjiro that at first, he didn't want him to take the exam, but seeing how much stronger he had become, he was now confident in his abilities and wished him victory. That evening, Master prepared a hearty meal before Tanjiro left for the exam and reminded him to eat well for the strength to fight. Master then explained to Tanjiro that demons are similar to humans and that their strength grows in proportion to the number of people they've eaten. Eventually, they change form, and some can even use curses. To aid Tanjiro, Master gave him a mask that could ward off evil spirits. The next morning, Tanjiro woke up early to prepare for the exam. He then went inside to say goodbye to Nezuko, promising to return soon. Before leaving, he asked Master to send his thanks to Sabito and Makimo, which surprised Master because, in fact, both of them had passed away. When Tanjiro arrived at the exam location, he was amazed by the Garden of Wistery. The number of contestants in this exam is quite large, and the faces all look very dangerous. At this moment, a pair of twins announces the rules of the exam. This is the Wisteria Flower Forest, which holds many demons that the Demon Slayer Corps has captured. Although demons are very afraid of wisteria flowers, no flowers will bloom from now on. The contestants' task will be to survive in this forest for the next 7 days. If they succeed, they will officially become members of the Demon Slayer Corps. Tanjiro knows that demons cannot operate during the day, so he tries to head east, where the sun will rise first. However, as he runs, he must stop because he senses the presence of demons around him. One demon leaps down to attack Tanjiro, but he dodges quickly. Another demon attacks from behind, but Tanjiro blocks with his sword. Since both demons have the same target Tanjiro, they begin arguing fiercely. However, they soon agree that whoever is faster will take Tanjiro down. As a result, Tanjiro must fight both demons alone. He draws upon the training he's undergone over the past 6 months, regulating his breathing and looking for their weaknesses. Tanjiro then uses water breathing and swiftly eliminates both demons. Since this is the first time Tanjiro has personally slain demons, he is very pleased. Tanjiro silently thanks his master for giving him a special sword called the Nichiren Blade, forged by the Demon Slayer Corps. When a demon is struck by this sword, it disintegrates immediately. If Tanjiro had used a regular sword, he could have fought until the next day and still not have killed a single demon. While Tanjiro is silently praying for the demon's souls, he smells a foul odor nearby. Turning around, the demon proceeds to devour this person, causing its size to increase. When Tanjiro sees that the demon is about to strike another victim, he feels great fear. However, he shakes off his fear, draws his sword, and slices off one of the demon's arms, rescuing the person. The demon then tells Tanjiro that it was Sakanji, his master, who brought it here to be imprisoned in the forest. To take revenge, the demon has devoured about 50 participants of the exam, including 2 of Sakanji's disciples, Marcomo and Sabito. Before they died, both of them wore their master's protective masks. Upon hearing this, Tanjiro becomes furious, realizing that this demon is the one responsible for the deaths of his 2 friends. He charges at the demon, cutting off more of its limbs. However, the demon strikes Tanjiro with one of its remaining arms, sending him crashing into a tree. His protective mask shatters. The demon is pleased, thinking it will soon be able to kill another of Sakanji's disciples. But Tanjiro regains his composure, evading the demon's arm. He realizes that no matter how many times he cuts its arms, they will heal, so he needs to aim for its head to make the demon disintegrate. Tanjiro leaps into the air to reach the demon. Meanwhile, Marcomo is watching the battle and is worried about Tanjiro. She notes that the demon's neck is very tough, but Sabito reassures her that Tanjiro will succeed. Tanjiro takes a deep breath, positions himself to strike, and then uses water breathing to land a decisive blow. The demon's head falls off, and its body disintegrates immediately. However, Tanjiro's face is not one of joy because he knows the demon was once a kind child just like anyone else, but it lost its humanity when it became a demon and was later hunted down and trapped in the forest by Sakanji. Tanjiro walks up and takes the demon's severed arm before it fully vanishes, praying for the demon to be reincarnated as a human and for the souls of the children to find peace. The children, witnessing Tanjiro's victory, can now rest. Tanjiro also promises to survive and return to his master and sister. After 7 nights of fighting, Tanjiro finally reaches the end of the exam. When the sun rises, he realizes only 4 contestants have survived. He recalls the young man from earlier and wonders if he has been eaten by the demons. 2 girls then appear to announce that all remaining contestants are now members of the Demon Slayer Corps. They are each given a uniform and a crow for communication. Only the young man with blonde hair, Zenitsu, is given a sparrow. In the group, there is a scarred, rough young man named Jinya who is eager to grab a sword and start hunting demons. He grabs the white-haired girl by the head, demanding a sword. But Tanjiro immediately grabs Jinya's hand and squeezes, forcing him to release her. The 2 girls then present pieces of metal called soul steel, which is used to forge the sharp swords used to slay demons. Tanjiro quickly chooses a piece of soul steel to have his sword forged. Meanwhile, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps is pleased that they have gained 5 more members. Tanjiro, exhausted after 7 days of combat, returns home. Despite his exhaustion, he is overjoyed to find his sister Nezuko has woken up after a year of sleep. The siblings share a heartwarming reunion, and their master embraces them, happy to see Tanjiro return safely. That evening, Tanjiro tells his master about the demon he defeated in the forest. The master informs Tanjiro that from now on, he will face demons who possess blood demon arts. As for Nezuko, she does not have any blood demon arts. Instead of eating humans, she will sleep to regain her strength. 15 days later, a blacksmith from the Demon Slayer Corps arrives to deliver Tanjiro's sword. The blacksmith explains that the Nichiren blade is the weapon used by the Demon Slayer Corps to fight demons, and its color changes depending on the wielder. The blacksmith notices that Tanjiro has red hair and eyes, possibly linked to fire, and assumes that his sword will turn bright red. However, when Tanjiro unsheathes the sword, it turns completely black. The master remarks that this is the first time he has seen a black Nichiren blade, and the blacksmith is disappointed, as it should have turned red. Just then, Tanjiro's crow arrives to deliver a mission. In a town to the northwest, there is a demon that kidnaps women and eats them. Tanjiro's task is to find the demon's hideout and eliminate it. Tanjiro is worried because this will be his first mission as a demon hunter. Tanjiro then prepared himself for the mission, and Nezuko was excited as it had been a long time since she got to go with her brother. Master had informed Tanjiro that the Demon Slayer Corps uniform he was wearing could withstand the claws of lower-level demons, but he was unsure of the properties of the Nichiren sword, as the black color was very rare, and few people possessed a sword of such a color. Master had also prepared a lightweight wooden box for Tanjiro, in which he could place Nezuko and carry her during the day. Tanjiro was overjoyed because now he and his sister would not have to be separated anymore. Master then adjusted Tanjiro's uniform before he set off, and Tanjiro bid farewell to him as though saying goodbye to his father. Not long after, Tanjiro arrived in the town in the northwest region. Since demons don't appear during the day, many people were out on the streets. He overheard people talking about how his girlfriend had been taken by a demon, so he immediately called the man, named Kazumi, to inquire further. Kazumi led Tanjiro to the place where his girlfriend had been abducted by the demon. Tanjiro used his keen sense of smell to track the demon's scent around the area. He noticed the faint smell of demon essence here and there, and it seemed the demon moved very cunningly, so Tanjiro had to carefully search all the spots it had passed. Onlookers, seeing Tanjiro sniffing around, thought he was like a dog, but Tanjiro paid them no mind and continued searching through the town, refusing to rest even as night fell, knowing this was when demons would start to act. Meanwhile, at a young woman's house, a dark figure appeared and followed her everywhere. The girl changed into her night clothes, and at that moment, the demon began to act. Two of its hands emerged from the ground, and before long, the girl was overwhelmed. Sensing something was wrong, Tanjiro immediately rushed to the girl's house. Kazumi, witnessing Tanjiro's swift movements, recognized him as a member of the Demon Slayer Corps. Tanjiro felt the demon had captured the girl, but he didn't know exactly where it was. He once again used his nose to track the strongest smell of demon essence and, once pinpointed, thrust his sword into that spot. When the girl's clothes surfaced, Tanjiro quickly grabbed her from the demon's grasp, furious that Tanjiro had stolen its prey. The demon submerged itself into the ground, preparing to attack Tanjiro. Tanjiro handed the girl over to Kazumi for protection, so he could fight more freely. Even though the demon had sunk underground, it still left a trail of scent, no matter where it went. Tanjiro followed it until, unexpectedly, the demon split into multiple bodies to fight him. Tanjiro immediately used water breathing to attack them. As he fought, he remembered his master's words that there was only one demon who could pass on its blood and turn humans into demons like itself. This demon was named Muzan, and it had existed for thousands of years. Master believed that only Muzan could help Nezuko return to human form, so to save his sister, Tanjiro needed to find this demon. Back in the battle, Tanjiro was struggling against the multiple demons. No matter how many times he struck them, they would dive underground to regenerate. Since he had to protect Kazumi, he couldn't fight with all his might. The demon taunted Tanjiro, revealing that it always targeted girls around 16 years old, as they were the tastiest at that age. Although it had devoured many for demons like these, it was never enough, so they kept hunting more girls. After hearing this, Kazumi feared his girlfriend had been devoured too. The demons continued attacking Tanjiro, making the fight difficult for him. Just then, one demon tried to sneak up on him from behind, but Nezuko appeared and kicked it away from the ground. The demon was surprised, as this was the first time it had seen a swordsman and a demon fighting together. Nezuko seemed to deeply hate demons, but she was gentle with humans. This was because Master Sakanji had implanted a suggestion in Nezuko's mind, telling her that all humans were her family, and demons who harm humans were enemies that must be destroyed. Nezuko then charged at the demons to attack them. However, as she raised her leg to kick, the demon dived underground again, and the other demon followed, waiting for the right moment to ambush them. Nezuko only needed to dodge lightly, causing the demon's attack to miss. Tanjiro was very surprised because Nezuko could fight evenly with the demons. No matter how the demon attacked, it couldn't land a hit on her, so Tanjiro instructed Nezuko to protect the two others while he descended into the demon's lair to find a way to defeat them. Tanjiro noticed that the swamp was filled with the clothing and belongings of the girls who had been captured by the demons. He swore he would never forgive this demon. The demon thought that since Tanjiro had jumped into the swamp, he was as good as dead because the swamp lacked air and moving through it was extremely difficult. But they didn't know that Tanjiro had endured intense training, so the lack of air or difficult movement didn't bother him anymore. The two demons began swimming around Tanjiro, looking for an opening to attack, but Tanjiro's keen nose detected the exact moment when they approached him. He immediately used the sixth form of water breathing and delivered a powerful slash that created a whirlpool under the water, tearing the demons into pieces. Having been underwater for so long, Tanjiro struggled to breathe, so he swam to the surface to help Nezuko and the others. On the surface, Nezuko and the remaining demon were still fighting fiercely. After dodging the demon's attack, she punched it in the stomach and kicked it away. The demon, realizing Nezuko was not easy to handle, wondered if Muzan had given her too much blood, making her this strong. Nezuko moved incredibly fast and landed precise strikes. However, in a moment of vulnerability, the demon managed to land a hit on her. At that moment, Tanjiro shot up from below and sliced off both of the demon's arms. The demon was shocked to learn that Tanjiro had already dealt with its two copies. Tanjiro then forced the demon to reveal everything it knew about Muzan. When the demon remembered Muzan's image, it trembled in fear, recalling how Muzan had threatened it when it was turned into a demon, forbidding it from speaking a word. The demon suddenly regenerated its arms and attacked Tanjiro, so he had no choice but to eliminate it immediately. Tanjiro was deeply saddened because he didn't learn anything about Muzan. Kazumi, still in shock over the death of his girlfriend, was left grieving. Tanjiro approached him and encouraged him to keep living well, as he himself had lost many loved ones. Tanjiro then returned Kazumi's girlfriend's keepsake to him and urged him to become strong to take care of the girl who was still by his side. Tanjiro realized that not only he but many others had suffered because of Muzan, and he was determined to find and destroy him. At that moment, Tanjiro's crow arrived with a new mission. There had been sightings of demons in Tokyo. Tanjiro immediately traveled there, marveling at the beauty of the city. It was his first time seeing such a crowded place full of tall buildings. Tanjiro, along with Nezuko, wandered the streets looking for a place to rest and stopped at a roadside udon shop. After Tanjiro ordered udon, Nezuko grew tired and fell asleep. Tanjiro hadn't even had a bite when he smelled something very familiar, causing him to drop the bowls of udon. He immediately ran after the scent, knowing it was the smell of the one who had killed his family, none other than Kibutsuji Muzan, the demon who had lived for thousands of years. Tanjiro was about to unsheath his sword and strike Muzan down right there, but to his surprise, Muzan had a wife and child. He was pretending to be a human, living a normal life. His wife was human, and Tanjiro was deeply concerned for her. Muzan, not wanting to draw attention, tried to slip away. He swiped his claws across the arm of a passerby, turning the man into a demon instantly. When the newly transformed demon tried to attack his wife, Tanjiro quickly used a piece of cloth to cover the man's mouth to prevent him from biting her. He then told the wife to quickly tend to the wound to prevent any life-threatening danger. He realized that Muzan must have been the cause. However, Tanjiro couldn't abandon the man to pursue Muzan, so he shouted at Muzan that no matter where he went, Tanjiro would find and kill him. Shortly afterward, the Tokyo police arrived and told Tanjiro to move aside so they could arrest the man. It seemed that the police had no idea about the existence of demons, so Tanjiro didn't want to move away, fearing the man would attack the officers. Just then, a strange scent filled the air, causing the police to hallucinate. It turned out that a woman had helped him, but she, too, was a demon. She said that she also wanted to destroy Muzan, just like Tanjiro. Meanwhile, Muzan, after returning home to his wife and child, was eager to go back and find Tanjiro. He summoned to lower-level demons and ordered them to bring Tanjiro to him. Muzan recalled Tanjiro's earrings with a fearful expression, as they resembled those of a legendary swordsman who had defeated him in the past. Tanjiro returned to the udon shop, where the shopkeeper scolded him for dropping the delicious udon he had painstakingly prepared. To make up for it, Tanjiro ordered some more bowls. The shopkeeper asked how Nezuko could eat with the bamboo stick in her mouth, but Tanjiro clarified that he was the one eating, and he quickly finished both bowls of udon. Afterward, he bid the shopkeeper farewell and headed back. On the way home, Tanjiro and Nezuko met the young man from earlier. He said he would take them to meet his wife, but when he saw Nezuko, he insulted her, calling her a plain, ugly country girl. Tanjiro was furious and told the young man that he should get his eyes checked immediately, as Nezuko had once been known as the most beautiful girl in the town. To Tanjiro, this was completely unacceptable. As they walked, Tanjiro continued to talk about how cute Nezuko was, but the young man ignored him. He led Tanjiro to an alley and then passed through a wall. This is the mansion of the woman with the blood of demons. As soon as Tanjiro entered, he saw her tending to the wounded woman from earlier. She introduced herself as Tamaya, and the young man beside her was named Yujiro. Because Tamaya had broken Muzan's curse, she no longer craved human flesh. However, she still needed to consume a small amount of blood to maintain her demon form. To get this blood, Tamaya had made arrangements with many people, ensuring that it did not harm them. Tamaya then told Tanjiro that 200 years ago, she had turned Ayoshiro into a demon to save his life. Tanjiro was surprised because, aside from Muzan, Tamaya was also capable of turning people into demons. However, she only did so if it was their wish. Tanjiro noticed that Tamaya exuded a pure, sincere scent, and so he asked her if there was any way to turn Nezuko back into a human. Tamaya replied that she didn't know how, but she was certain that one day she would find a way. In order to do so, Tamaya asked for a bit of blood from Nezuko, because Nezuko was very different from the demons who had been given Muzan's blood. She also asked Tanjiro to collect blood from 10 other demons to aid her research. While the three were talking, the demons, sent by Muzan, were searching for Tanjiro. One of them had the ability to track scents, similar to Tanjiro's. His eyes, located on his hands, could see the exact path Tanjiro had taken, so it didn't take long before they found Tamayo's mansion. One of the demons threw the bouncing balls into the room, destroying everything inside. When everyone turned to look, they saw that these were 2 of Muzan's minions. They had come to capture Tanjiro and bring him back to their master. These demons were part of the 12 Kizuki, Muzan's direct subordinates. Their names were Handball Demon Shukokai and Mark Demon Hainuki. Handball Demon could throw bouncing balls to attack his opponents, while the Mark Demon used his hand eyes to control the balls with his Blood Demon art, directing them wherever he wanted. Moreover, the Mark Demon could also track paths, so even though Yujiro had hidden their location, he could still find it. He told Tamaya to escape quickly, as the demons were after him, not her. But Tamaya replied that because she was a demon, even if injured, she could heal herself, so Tanjiro didn't need to worry about her and should focus on fighting. Meanwhile, Handball Demon continued to attack relentlessly. Tanjiro used his water-breathing technique to strike the balls thrown at him, but the Mark Demon controlled the balls to evade his attacks, making it very difficult for Tanjiro. At that point, Handball Demon sprouted 6 extra arms and started throwing 6 balls at once, making Tanjiro struggle even more. Unable to predict the movements of the balls, Tanjiro was unable to protect Tamaya and Yujiro. Seeing Tanjiro struggling, Yujiro gave him a vision charm to help him see the path of the balls more clearly. Now, Tanjiro could easily perceive the direction the balls were moving, while he himself rushed outside to face the ball demon. Both demons were excited to see Tanjiro, as he was the one Muzan had been searching for. The Blood Mark Demon threw all the balls at Tanjiro, while Nezuko found the Blood Mark Demon and delivered a powerful kick to his hand, causing the balls to lose their direction, allowing Tanjiro to easily destroy them. Tanjiro then slashed through the 6 arms of the ball demon. At that moment, Tanjiro intended to take the blood from both demons to give to Tamaya for research. However, the ball demon laughed in Tanjiro's face, mocking him for not being old enough to do such things. All 6 of her arms immediately regrew, which made Tanjiro very worried. These demons were far stronger than any he had encountered before. Meanwhile, Nezuko was being knocked back by the Blood Mark Demon's power, and Tanjiro had to shield his sister to protect her from the attacks. At that point, Yujiro finally arrived outside to assist Tanjiro. They quickly strategized and swapped targets. Nezuko and Yujiro would deal with the ball demon, while Tanjiro would focus on the Blood Mark Demon. Tanjiro used water breathing to minimize the damage from the arrows. Meanwhile, Nezuko was struggling to dodge the balls thrown by the ball demon, and Yujiro, using his stealth abilities, struck the demon from behind, delivering a powerful blow. He then declared that anyone who harms Mistress Tamaya would never be forgiven. Upon hearing Tamayo's name, the demons recognized her as the one who was fleeing from Muzan, and they decided to capture both Tanjiro and Tamaya to present them to Muzan. Nezuko, however, unexpectedly got hit and was sent flying into the house where Tamaya, like a mother, began healing her. Tanjiro, still fighting the Blood Mark Demon alone, found that his sword could not cut through the arrows. The demon used an arrow to bind Tanjiro's arm, forcing him to spin in the air to escape. Tanjiro realized he could control the arrows, so he dashed forward and used water breathing to bind them, rendering the demon's attacks useless. Tanjiro then unleashed a water slice, decapitating the demon. But the demon was not dead yet. With its remaining strength, it attempted to kill Tanjiro, forcing him to continuously counter the arrows. Tanjiro fought back so fiercely that his arms felt like they were about to give out. Still, the demon kept launching arrows from every direction. When the demon finally began to transform completely, Tanjiro was dropped to the ground, exhausted and unable to move his arms. Despite this, Tanjiro tried to crawl and help his friends, clutching his sword in his mouth. On the other side, Yujiro was struggling against the ball demon, unable to escape her attacks even while hiding. Nezuko, sensing her brother's struggle, charged forward and kicked the ball high into the air, as if protecting her brother. Nezuko and the ball demon then engaged in a fierce one-on-one battle, with Nezuko continuously knocking the balls away. Eventually, Nezuko won the duel, landing a powerful shot that the demon could not dodge. Tamaya observed that Nezuko had grown stronger, but she noted that if it came to a life-or-death battle with the demon, Nezuko would likely not be able to win. So, Tamaya stepped forward and used a powerful demon technique called White Sun Demon Fragrance. This technique hypnotized the ball demon into revealing the name of her master, Muzan. The moment she uttered his name, her fate was sealed, and she began pleading for Muzan's forgiveness, but it was too late. The demon was destroyed in a horrifying manner before everyone's eyes. Tanjiro, confused, asked Tamaya for an explanation, and she explained that Muzan had cursed all demons he created. Any demon that revealed his name would be immediately destroyed. Yujiro then handed Tanjiro a cloth to cover his nose, as White Sun Demon Fragrance was harmful to humans. Tamaya then took some blood from the bald demon for research, preparing to develop a cure for Nezuko, who had inhaled the White Sun Demon Fragrance. Tanjiro, however, felt deep sadness as he realized that the demon was just a child to one who wanted to play like the others but had to die so painfully. Tanjiro felt an even greater sense of hatred for Muzan than he had ever felt before. After the sun rose, Tanjiro descended into the basement to check on Nezuko's condition. When Nezuko saw that her brother was safe, she was overjoyed. She immediately ran to embrace Tamaya in a warm, affectionate hug. At the same time, Aishiro was being patted on the head as though he were Nezuko's younger brother. Tanjiro explained that Nezuko had truly come to see Tamaya and the others as her family, which was why she had fought so hard earlier to protect them both. This explanation moved Tamaya deeply, and she expressed her gratitude to Nezuko for her efforts. Watching this, Aishiro was reminded of his own past. He thought to himself that if Tamaya hadn't saved him, he probably wouldn't even be alive to stand here today. She suggested that Nezuko come with her, so that the young girl wouldn't have to keep fighting demons anymore. Initially, Tanjiro hesitated because he wanted his sister to be safe, but Nezuko, sensing his concern, grasped his hand, signaling that she didn't want to be apart from him any longer. Understanding her feelings, Tanjiro thanked Tamaya for caring for Nezuko, and in turn, bid her and Aishiro farewell before leaving with Nezuko. Just after completing one mission, a crow arrived with a new task for Tanjiro. As the two were about to head out again, Tanjiro encountered a young man named Zenitsu, who was kneeling and proposing to a girl. In the meantime, Zenitsu's sparrow flew over to Tanjiro, chirping loudly and persistently. The bird seemed to be urging Tanjiro to intervene and stop that silly, blonde-haired man from continuing his foolish behavior. He advised the girl to hurry home, warning her that Zenitsu would only follow her again if she didn't act quickly. In response, the girl, clearly frustrated, slapped Zenitsu across the face a few times. Zenitsu imagines that the girl has feelings for him too. After the girl left, Zenitsu began blaming Tanjiro for his lost opportunity to marry. Zenitsu then went on to complain about how he had been tricked by a girl and was now deeply in debt. He explained that joining the Demon Slayer Corps was his way of escaping his financial troubles. Zenitsu, feeling that his weakness might lead him to sacrifice himself in the next mission, insisted that Tanjiro promise to protect him so that he could survive and return safely. After hearing Zenitsu's emotional outpouring, Tanjiro agreed, and the two of them set off together. Zenitsu, who was hungry, received a rice ball from Tanjiro. However, when Zenitsu realized that it was the last piece of food, he split it in half and offered half of it to Tanjiro, so they could both eat. Tanjiro, who could understand the language of animals, overheard Zenitsu's sparrow mocking him, revealing that Zenitsu was only ever interested in flirting with girls and never seemed to accomplish anything else. Just then, the crow returned with a new message for Tanjiro, informing him that his next mission was to be completed alongside Zenitsu. A while later, the two of them arrived at a house located in the middle of a forest. Tanjiro immediately noted that there was a strong scent of blood coming from inside. At that moment, Tanjiro encountered two children who appeared very frightened. He approached them and asked why they seemed so terrified. When the children didn't respond, Tanjiro showed them the sparrow to help calm them down. The children explained that there was a demon inside the house, a very fearsome one, and that their older brother had been taken inside, and they weren't sure whether he was alive or dead. Upon hearing this, Tanjiro promised them that he would save their older brother no matter what. Meanwhile, Zenitsu heard a terrifying sound coming from the house. However, Tanjiro, whose hearing wasn't as sharp as Zenitsu's, didn't hear the sound. After a few moments, a man suddenly flew out of the house. Tanjiro rushed to him, but the man passed away almost immediately due to his severe injuries. Thankfully, Tanjiro learned that this man was not the children's older brother. The sound of the drum grew louder and louder, so Tanjiro urged Zenitsu to go inside with him to find and eliminate the demon. However, Zenitsu, being cowardly, was so scared that his teeth kept chattering, which made Tanjiro extremely frustrated. In his anger, Tanjiro decided to leave Zenitsu outside. This made Zenitsu hurriedly apologize in an attempt to calm Tanjiro down. Tanjiro then placed the box containing Nezuko near the two children, asking them to look after it. After that, Tanjiro and Zenitsu went inside to hunt the demon. Seeing that Zenitsu was still frightened, Tanjiro told him that he had to protect himself, as Tanjiro was still wounded from their previous mission. Upon hearing this, Zenitsu became even more terrified, thinking that he might have to sacrifice himself today. Meanwhile, the two children suddenly ran into the house, as they had heard the clattering sound from the box containing Nezuko. At that moment, there was a strong vibration inside the house, and then a loud drum sound suddenly echoed, causing the entire space of the house to change. The four of them were separated. Tanjiro quickly realized that each drumbeat caused the space to shift. He reassured the girl, Taoko, not to worry and promised that he would protect her and safely get her older brother out. Just then, the demon holding the drum appeared, and it was large. Tanjiro was sure it had eaten many people to grow so big. On Zenitsu's side, he was still acting like his usual scared self, which made the boy accompanying him speechless at seeing a demon slayer like Zenitsu behaving so weakly. Tanjiro then told the boy to run out, but when they opened the door, it led to another room. Zenitsu quickly searched around, trying to find an exit. After several attempts, he encountered a dangerous-looking young man with a wild boar's head. As soon as the boar-headed man saw Zenitsu, he rushed out and started running wildly around the house. Meanwhile, Tanjiro told Tauko to hide while he fought the demon. Tanjiro tried to draw the demon's attention by calling out that he was a demon slayer, but the demon only stood there muttering to itself, causing Tanjiro to charge at it with his sword. Just as he was about to strike, the demon struck the drum, which made the room flip upside down. At the same time, the boar-headed man broke through the door and jumped into Tanjiro's room. His weapon was a pair of serrated blades that were extremely sharp. He immediately charged at the demon to kill it, but with a single drumbeat, the room flipped again, causing difficulties for everyone. In the chaos, the boar-headed man accidentally stepped on Tauko. Tanjiro swiftly kicked the boar-headed man's leg away, causing him to lose his temper. The boar-headed man charged at Tanjiro, forcing him to retreat. Tanjiro explained that the demon was the real enemy, but the boar-headed man ignored him. Meanwhile, the demon, seeing no one paying attention to it, beat the drum to attack with claw-like strikes. The continuous drumbeats both attacked and flipped the room again. After observing for a while, Tanjiro figured out the demon's power. Suddenly, the room space shifted without the demon having to strike the drum, which made Tanjiro suspect there were many demons in the house, not just one. He went into the next room and unexpectedly found Tauko's older brother sitting there, banging the drum. On Zenitsu's side, he was still searching for an exit, unable to tolerate being in such a scary place. Even the smallest noise made him go pale with fear. When the boy saw Zenitsu shaking with fear, he didn't know what to say. Suddenly, both of them saw a terrifying demon crawl out from under the floor. It continuously slithered on the ground, chasing after Zenitsu, causing him to flee in panic. The demon extended its tongue to attack Zenitsu, forcing him to dodge while running. When Zenitsu and the boy entered a room, neither knew where to run next. Zenitsu started crying, saying that he would never be able to marry, but even if he had to sacrifice himself, he would do whatever it took to protect the boy. As the demon entered the room, Zenitsu suddenly lay down and pretended to sleep, leaving the boy to face the demon with a terrified expression. However, just as the demon attacked, its tongue was unexpectedly severed. Zenitsu, still seemingly asleep, suddenly stood up with an incredibly cool expression. He drew his sword, took a deep breath, and performed the first form of thunder breathing, decapitating the demon in the blink of an eye. When he came to, Zenitsu had no memory of what he had just done, and the demon had already vanished. Thinking the boy had killed the demon, Zenitsu knelt and promised never to forget the boy's life-saving deed. On the boar-headed man's side, he found another demon that was large and fat. He used beast breathing to defeat the demon with just a few strikes. Afterward, he continued running around the house, searching for other demons. The demon with the drum was trying to kill as many people as possible to absorb their power. It used to be the lower rank 6 in the 12 Kizuki of Muzan, meaning it was the lowest among the 50 to most powerful demons serving him. However, this demon couldn't increase its strength, so Muzan took away the number on its eye and drove it away. Now, it will strive to become stronger in order to return to the 12 Kizuki. Meanwhile, when Tanjiro met Kyoshi, he was very happy. Seeing that Kyoshi was injured, Tanjiro used the medicine that his master gave him to treat his wounds. At this moment, Kyoshi explained that he had been captured here several days ago, and 3 demons had fought to see who would devour him. During the fight, the drum demon dropped a drum, and Kyoshi managed to pick it up. He then kept hitting the drum to move around the house. The raven, which was Tanjiro's messenger, explained that Kyoshi possessed a rare bloodline filled with immense power, which was why all 3 demons in the house were so eager to feast on him. Now, the drum demon was getting closer to them, so Tanjiro reminded the 2 siblings to use the drum to navigate through the house. After eliminating the demon, he would follow their scent to find them. Then, he rushed out the door to face the drum demon. When it struck the drum, the room's space would constantly change. Not only that, but the demon could use the drum to shoot invisible claws at Tanjiro, forcing him to dodge. Since Tanjiro was still injured from his previous mission, he didn't know how to defeat this demon. With just one wrong move, those claws could instantly kill him. But Tanjiro didn't want to disappoint Zenitsu, so he encouraged himself to stand up and fight. Meanwhile, Zenitsu and Soichi were still trying to find a way out of the house, but because they didn't know the way, they kept wandering around. Just then, the sound of the drum rang out, causing the room to flip, and by accident, Zenitsu and Soichi were thrown out of the house. Tanjiro, however, was still struggling with the drum demon, which kept playing the drum to flip the room and attack Tanjiro, making it hard for him to breathe. Tanjiro realized that the only way to defeat it was by awakening the demon's conscience, so he loudly asked the demon's name. The demon, whose name was Kyogai, unexpectedly remembered his past. Previously, he had been looked down upon by his teacher, who considered his essays to be trash. His teacher told him to just stay home and beat the drum all day because no one would want to read his writing. This enraged Kyogai, and he killed his teacher. Now, even more enraged, Kyogai kept playing the drum, distorting the room and making his essays scatter all over the place. Although Tanjiro was struggling to dodge the attacks, he made sure not to step on the scattered essays, which made Kyogai feel that Tanjiro truly respected his work. Tanjiro soon got used to the room's movement and could dodge the attacks more easily. With the ninth form of water breathing, Tanjiro swiftly ran toward Kyogai. At that moment, Tanjiro spotted a small opening, so he launched an attack along that line, successfully severing Kyogai's head. Before Kyogai disappeared, Tanjiro told him that his essays were very good, making Kyogai feel grateful to him. He then peacefully passed away. Tanjiro didn't forget his mission to collect blood from the demon for Tamayo's research. He threw the blade designed by Isuhiro into the demon's body to draw the blood out, then handed it to Tamayo's cat messenger to bring it back to her. After that, Tanjiro went back to Kyoshi and Taoko's room, but as soon as he opened the door, he was hit by a book. The two thought he was a demon, so Tanjiro reassured them that the danger had passed and guided them outside. However, Tanjiro suddenly smelled blood and rushed outside to investigate. It turned out that the wild boar had smelled Nezuko inside the wooden box. Knowing there was a demon inside, the boar immediately attacked the box. Zenitsu, however, immediately leaped forward to protect the box containing Nezuko, because he had heard Tanjiro say that the box was even more important than his own life. The wild boar kept pushing Zenitsu aside because the Demon Slayer Corps had only one mission: to kill demons. Zenitsu, though, knew that inside Tanjiro's box was a demon. He had incredibly sharp hearing and could sense everything around him. But now he trusted Tanjiro so much that he was willing to listen to his explanation later. Despite being beaten badly by the boar, Zenitsu kept protecting the box, even tossing the boar aside to hug the box as if it were something incredibly precious to him. At that moment, Tanjiro ran outside and witnessed the wild boar kicking Zenitsu repeatedly. Despite the beating, Zenitsu was still holding the wooden box containing Nezuko tightly in his arms. Seeing that the boar couldn't do anything to Zenitsu, it drew its sword, preparing to attack him. Tanjiro, seeing this, rushed in to stop the boar. He confronted the boar with a punch, landing a solid blow to its side, breaking two of its ribs and sending it flying several meters away. Then Tanjiro told the boar that no one in the Demon Slayer Corps was allowed to fight using swords against each other. Upon hearing this, the wild boar taunted Tanjiro and challenged him to settle it with their fist. Without waiting for an answer, the boar rushed straight at Tanjiro, ready for a fight. Having lived in the mountains for so long, the boar's movements were incredibly agile and decisive. Tanjiro had a hard time keeping up with the boar's relentless attacks. The boar often struck low, so Tanjiro felt like he was fighting a real wild boar. In a moment of distraction, Tanjiro took a kick to the head from the boar, leaving him dazed. Meanwhile, the boar, feeling very proud of his agile body, Inosuke teased Tanjiro with a dirty smile. Tanjiro, seeing that the boar was injured, advised him to stop, but Inosuke kept rushing at him. Tanjiro had to find a way to hold him back, and then delivered a headbutt that made Inosuke dazed, causing his mask to fall off. Zenitsu laughed loudly when he saw Inosuke's true face, which looked surprisingly feminine. Inosuke then threatened Zenitsu, scaring him badly. At this point, Inosuke introduced himself, but before he could say anything more, he suddenly collapsed on the ground unconscious. It seemed that Tanjiro's headbutt had caused a concussion. However, Tanjiro seemed perfectly fine, which impressed Zenitsu. After a few minutes, Inosuke woke up, and the boar immediately started rampaging again, chasing Zenitsu to fight him. Everyone was left speechless by Inosuke's wild behavior. Tanjiro then asked Inosuke to help bury the victims who were killed by the demon, but Inosuke was more interested in finding someone to challenge rather than burying the bodies. Zenitsu, seeing this, thought that the boy must have lost his mind. Tanjiro, teasing Inosuke, called him weak for not even being able to bury the dead properly, which made Inosuke furious, though he couldn't do anything to Tanjiro. By the afternoon, Tanjiro and the others had finished burying the graves, while Inosuke continued to practice Tanjiro's headbutt technique. At that moment, the messenger crow arrived and told the group to hurry down the mountain. Inosuke, of course, followed them, still eager to challenge Tanjiro. Tanjiro, not wanting Soichi to be bothered by Zenitsu, knocked him out with a punch to stop him from pestering the boy any further. The three children bid farewell to Soichi and the others, then continued their journey, while Inosuke kept following Tanjiro, still trying to provoke him. Zenitsu, still unconscious from Tanjiro's punch, finally woke up at the noise of their bickering. Later that evening, they stopped at a house at the foot of the mountain. The crow informed them that they would rest here until their injuries healed. The owner of the house was an elderly woman who, despite her age, worked quickly and efficiently, which made Zenitsu think she was some kind of monster. After a long day of fighting, the three young men had dinner together. Inosuke, being used to the wild, grabbed food with his hands instead of using chopsticks. Seeing how quickly Inosuke ate, Tanjiro offered him his portion. The old woman then prepared bedding for the three, but before they could lie down, she had them checked for serious injuries. A doctor was called, and he informed them that each of them had several injuries, including broken ribs, but Inosuke had a large bump on his head. At this point, Zenitsu apologized to Inosuke for punching him earlier in the morning, but Inosuke didn't care and refused to apologize. Zenitsu threatened that he wouldn't play with him anymore. Tanjiro then asked Inosuke why he had joined the Demon Slayer Corps. Inosuke explained that he once fought a swordsman who ventured into his forest. The swordsman told him about demons, and after hearing about them, Inosuke entered the selection trial to become a demon slayer, curious to see if demons were as strong as they said. Moreover, Inosuke didn't have parents, so he enjoyed testing his strength against creatures stronger than himself. Zenitsu then asked Tanjiro why he was traveling with the demon. Tanjiro thanked Zenitsu for protecting the box, then showed him what was inside. Nezuko stepped out of the box, looking incredibly cute, which left Zenitsu speechless in surprise. He then became angry when he realized that Tanjiro always carried a beautiful girl with him while Zenitsu couldn't get any girl to like him. Zenitsu felt extremely humiliated and vowed to defeat the pig-headed human to feel better. The next morning, as soon as Nezuko woke up, Zenitsu followed her around like a stalker. When he saw Tanjiro, Zenitsu, in his usual style, insisted on calling Tanjiro his brother-in-law so that he could marry Nezuko immediately. As for Inosuke, he couldn't care less about girls like Zenitsu did. All he was interested in was eating, training, and fighting. So, he barged into Tanjiro's room to challenge him to another battle. A few days later, the doctor informed the three young men that their injuries had healed. While Zenitsu continued to flirt with Nezuko, the messenger crow arrived with a new mission. The Demon Slayer Corps had assigned them to the Notagumor mountain range in the northeast. After that, they bid farewell to the elderly woman and set off on their journey. Knowing that the mission would be very dangerous, the elderly woman performed a fire ritual to pray for their safety. However, the pig-faced guy mistook it for the woman turning everyone to ashes. Zenitsu thanked the old woman and set off on their journey. That's the end of part 1. Don't forget to follow the channel so you won't miss the next video.